in this day, and no matter how long the battle was, this day is still hard. And this day is hard because you love. I think the only thing sadder than a hard funeral is an easy one. Because they're hard because we love. And I know this family is full of love. I have been able to experience and enjoy the love of this family. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this day. And this time it's not us.
Wow. Thank you, family and friends, for being here today to help us celebrate the life of our beautiful mother. Some of you know me well, and a lot of you out there know that I cry at commercials. So, Mother used to have to put a box of Kleenex next to me when certain shows came on, because she knew I would need them. Because I just cry when my heart just overflows with love, and I'm touched by those of you who came out today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a little surprised I'm up here too. I tried to talk myself out of it several times. I wake up in the middle of the night and go, okay, I'm going to tell them I'm not going to do this. And then I go, no, I really need to talk about my mother. And so bear with me. I want to read because honestly, I hate for people to read to me. Mother used to read to me and I said, no, don't read to me. I can read, talk to me. But I'm going to have to read to you because that's the only way I'm going to get through this. So I'm here to tell you about our mother. And although some of you may shed a few tears, I may be one of them, my hope is to make you smile as we remember and honor her today. Those of you who didn't have the privilege of knowing her, I hope what I share will give you a glimpse of the kind of person she was and the kind of life she lived. So Mother taught Pam and me and our family many things through her words, her actions, her example. Here are a few of those things. Some are serious, others not so serious, but still are true. So here we go. When baking pies, one for a neighbor, give the neighbor the one that turns out the best. Mother used to kid me and say, Mom, you're always complaining because I'm giving away the stuff I'm making. So she'd make extra, but she'd still give the best one to the neighbor. Mother always made friends with her neighbors. Some more than others. Where are you, Nikki? And sometimes those neighbors became more like family. And Nikki and Kim were here. That's you. When you decide to learn to sew, don't start with making Barbie doll clothes. If you ever want to sew again. Mother finished the Barbie clothes, but that was the end of her sewing. I don't think she ever sewed anything other than a button on anything again. Good thing we had Aunt Frances to do our sewing for us, right, Fred? By the way, Pam and I do not sew either. I took a stab at it once. I took sewing lessons. I made 3 full-size garments, not work clothes. I learned my lesson, and I never sewed again, except maybe a button. I learned from Mother that when your child turns over a drink at dinner, just as you finally get to sit down to a meal at the end of a busy day, stay calm. Otherwise, you just might turn over your own drink when you get up to clean up the mess, like Mother did. If I remember, we all laughed a lot about that. You know, you've all felt that way at the end of a busy day, and then the kid turns over the drink, and you gotta get up again. But we ended up laughing about it, and I had that memory anytime one of my children or grandchildren, and there were several occasions, turned over a drink at the table. Another lesson I learned, Gail, where are you? I'm about to talk about you. Another lesson I learned is don't try on each other's new shoes with your best friend Gail during church on Sunday morning while your daddy is preaching and your mother is sitting just across the aisle. There will be consequences. Okay, Mother taught us to step outside of our comfort zone. It's hard, isn't it? I'm up here. It's a little outside of my comfort zone. But Mother married at 18. She had a child at 19. So you can tell how old I am if you do math, okay? And she worked alongside our daddy to start a new church in Florence, South Carolina at the age of 20. I remember her telling me this, how scary it was when she first spoke in front of a group of people, most of them older than she was. But she did it, and she became an excellent speaker and teacher. Then when she was a widow at the age of 33, she had to make difficult choices and make significant changes with help and the support of her church family and her family. So she had to learn to step outside of her comfort zone, and she was a model for us to try to do the same thing. Mother taught us to do our best to keep our word. But sometimes circumstances make it difficult to do that. Pam shared a story about the time after I married and moved away, and Pam needed a formal for an event at the beginning of her senior year. Mama told her, I'd already spent all the money on the wedding, right? So Mama told her if she would wear the dress she wore in my wedding to that event, she would have time to save some money to buy her a new formal for the prom. So true to her word, Mother saved the money, and she and Pam went shopping. But sadly, they were unable to find the right dress. Now, Pam may have found the right dress, but Mother didn't want it. And so Pam had to wear the same dress to the prom. But Mother, she had a tender heart, and she loved her children, and she felt bad about that, I know. So she used the money that she saved to buy the dress to buy Pam a beautiful necklace. And Pam still has that necklace, and she can still wear that necklace. That dress would have been long gone. She has it on. So ask to see it. She's got it on. Okay, Mother loved our daddy and our stepfather, Tut. And she was deeply loved by them. When our daddy had extensive open heart surgery, a surgery that lasted 8 hours back then, halfway through the surgery, a dozen roses from my dad were delivered to Mother in the waiting room. He knew Mother. She really just held herself in such check. She wasn't like me. She wasn't, really emotional and everything's out there. She was very reserved in her demeanor, very loving, but reserved. And she knew that she would need some release from that. And so he had those flowers delivered halfway through his surgery. Tut passed away just before Mother's Day in 1997. And when Mother pulled down a keepsake box from her closet to add her Mother's Day card she had gotten that year, something fell on the floor. It was a Mother's Day card from Tut, placed there for Mother to find, just in case he was not there to give it to her. So Mother not only loved well, but she inspired love in others. I see your heads nodding because you felt that from her. Mother enjoyed planning fun events for her family. When she was in charge, you just didn't know what might happen. At one big Westmoreland family reunion, and it's a big family, Mother was the baby of 8. And lots of children. Well, at this reunion that she planned, I had to miss that reunion, so I've only heard about it and seen the pictures. She voluntold 4 of her adult family members to sing and act out "I'm a Little Teapot." So they had to stand up there and sing "I'm a Little Teapot" as the entertainment at that reunion. She loved to have a good time. At a family dinner in her home, we were all sitting around the kitchen table, and I must have been about the next to last to sit. She slipped a whoopee cushion under me just as I sat down to dinner, much to the delight of all the family members already seated. Nobody laughed harder than she did, though. She loved doing things with her family. She had tea parties with her grandchildren. We saw her having a tea party on one of those pictures with Corey. She could pack up a picnic basket with little notice and head to Stone Mountain, our local park. Raining outside? No problem. Throw a blanket on the family room floor and enjoy. Or have watermelon or homemade ice cream on the back porch. At a girls' movie night out, you remember this one? Mother proved she could maintain her composure during the cemetery scene of Steel Magnolias. Remember that scene? Every mother out there is going, yes, I remember that scene. While her crying daughters were sobbing beside her, and her granddaughter, Kimberly, was sitting there scared to death that her aunt and her mom were going to eventually be sobbing out loud in the theater. Mother used her gifts and her talents to serve and bless others. She had a number of gifts and talents, but one I especially appreciated, and I think we appreciate the ones that we don't feel we have as much, and I admired this one, was her ability to care for someone who was sick with empathy and compassion. I thought about that a lot over the last few months. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to try to say, thank you to my sister. She learned that lesson well, and she was 5 minutes away, and she was the one they called when the emergency room, when she was taken to the emergency room, and she got that first call. And she's been so faithful to look after Mother. I got to come and sit with her several hours on the weekend and enjoy it, but Pam was doing a lot of the work, and I greatly appreciate that she really learned that lesson that Mother modeled. But Mother just seemed to know what to do or say to help people feel better and feel loved. She also had the gift of gab. Can I see a hand? Here and amen. A gift shared by many of her Westmoreland siblings and offspring. She could talk to a complete stranger when standing in line at the grocery store, for example, like she was talking to a friend. Kimberly will tell you that I learned that lesson really well. We were at the grocery store one day and we left. She was with me and she said, "Mom, who was that?" I said, "I don't know. It was just somebody in the line at the grocery store." She said she had to move back to Georgia to understand me better. When she moved back to Georgia, she understood better. She also had the gift of hospitality. Mother loved to open her home and always made everything so warm and welcoming. One of the many things she hosted, and I'm picking this out for a reason, was Red Cross classes on babysitting for the neighborhood kids who were old enough to babysit. And the reason I mention this is that her grandson Corey shared with me that when he was having his first child, she demonstrated to him how to carry a baby like a football. Because they teach her that in those classes. She taught us all, as Amanda shared with me, the importance of going out of your way to do things for the people you love. For example, when Amanda was little more than a toddler, she wanted a toy washing machine. Well, Mother was determined to find her one, and Mother was a great shopper. In her search, she found one in a display in a store that was really not for sale. But Mother talked the owner into selling her that toy washing machine for Amanda. She could be very persuasive. My daughter Kimberly wanted a dress that would go out to here when you twirl. and a teddy bear one for her birthday. And Mother made sure she found that dress. And Jenny, the teddy bear, he actually still shows up at my house every now and then. He doesn't look too great, but he does. My son Christopher, he loved trains, and he was the first grandchild. And when he was small, he just loved trains, and it's a good thing, because guess what? Tut, his papa, was a railroad engineer. And so Mother, and some of us would drive down to the railroad crossing, probably the one there in Norcross, it's one of the ones I remember going to. Nikki's shaking her head. And we would sit there and wait for him to go by, because we knew kind of the schedule, so he could blow that horn. And that was just the kinds of things that Mother did for the people she loved. Corey wanted some money. For something one time, I don't know, when he was just a young boy. So Mother gave him some simple chores around their house. I don't know, the man may have been helping him, I don't know. And then she gave him the money, but she taught him a lesson, because she made him have the satisfaction that he earned that money that she gave him, which is another great lesson. Mother was not only a great giver of gifts in her time, but when she gave a gift, when you gave her a gift, she would honestly make you feel like that's something she'd been waiting for forever. You know, she just took great delight in the things that you gave her. And I need to learn to be better at that. My husband took back a bunch of stuff. Bless his heart. Mother loved her extended family, and her family included anyone who married into her family as well as her husband's families. My daddy's family, a lot of you are here today. She loved each one of you just like you were her blood relatives. And Renee, and I'm looking around, Wayne, Joanne, wherever you are, there you are. All of you. She didn't know what an in-law was. I mean, you were just family. And she loved y'all so much. And I gotta leave that thought. She delighted in her great-grandchildren, just as she did her children and her grandchildren. I'm sure if you spent any time around her after they were born, you heard about them. So Paige, Charlie, Molly, Jack, Drew, Ethan, and Precious Harper. She loved you all so much. She showed us the importance of staying in touch with family. I spoke with one of her nephews, David Westmoreland, who lives in Florida and could not travel here to be with us today. But he spoke so lovingly of Mother. He is also a pastor, and he said she would call and read him scripture. Linda, another cousin, was telling me this week that Mother used to share scripture with her. And she did with me, and I'm sure others in this room. She did it to encourage people. Not to say, you need to get better. You know, you need to read this and get better. She did it to encourage. And he said it really meant a lot to him. So staying in touch with her nieces and nephews, her great niece, who is here today, was very important to her. She taught us by example to put faith in action. To live out Christian principles in how we treated others. Mother used to threaten my daddy that if he was still preaching at noon on Sunday morning, that she would take out saltine crackers and start preaching. So before y'all start doing that, thank you for letting me talk. I needed to talk. Thank you. But let me just close by saying, she loved pink, can you tell? She was such a gracious and beautiful lady. So thank you, Mother, for teaching us how to live and how to love. You will be a light in our hearts. Thank you, Tina, for saying that on Facebook. I love that. You will be a light in our hearts and an inspiration for our lives until we see you again. We love you.
guitar I ever held was in my grandmother's house. It was an old guitar of, I think, David's. It was hidden away in a closet. And Mom and Dad bought me a guitar, we took it home. It didn't work. So they got me another one. But then they got me this guitar my junior, senior year of high school. I'm not sure. So it was 23, 24 years old. This peg right here that holds in this top string, which is an E string, after 24 years decided to fail last night and broke in half. So it is currently held together with super glue and duct tape. I'm not making that up to make y'all laugh. It is literally held together by duct tape and super glue. So for the eye safety of the folks in the next front few rows, I would appreciate it, and so that I can make it through this without breaking down. Don't look up here and make eye contact with me in the next 3 minutes. Come out of sadness from wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let the rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh sinner, come near. 'Cause earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. For the hopeless and all those who've strayed, sit at the table and come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, a rest that endures. 'Cause earth has no sorrow that heaven can't cure. So lay down your burden, lay down your shame, and all who are broken, lift up your face. The wanderer, come home, you're not too far. Lay down your hurt, and lay down your heart, and come as you are. Come as you are. Fall is all. Come as you are. It's joyful in the morning, oh sinner, be still. 'Cause earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Lay down your burdens, lay down your shame, and all who are broken, just lift up your face. Wanderer, come home, 'cause you're not too
First, don't any one of you tell my wife about the saltine cracker trick. I don't need to get around. Second, family, thank you. It is an honor for a pastor to speak on a day such as this. It is an honor for me to stand before you to share. And if there is one word that I have heard talking with various members of this family over the last few days, that word is village. Heard the word village quite a few times, so I have been pondering on that word, which took me to Luke chapter 2, when Jesus stayed in Jerusalem, and his mom and dad didn't realize he stayed in Jerusalem. The reason they didn't realize he wasn't with them is because they had a village helping with raising Jesus. And they actually go and they talk to relatives and friends thinking that Jesus was with somebody in their village. It does my heart good. If it takes a village to raise Jesus, I don't feel so bad about how many people it takes to handle my youngins. So Jesus had a village, and his family had a village. And I know this family, as we just heard from Miss Donna, many a part of this village, loving one another, encouraging one another, spending life with one another. And I can't even imagine being widowed so young with 2 children. And I heard how the church was a village, was there to encourage and lift up and strengthen in a situation, again, that I can't imagine. And then she moves back to Toccoa to be surrounded by her family village. Just remarkable. We need one another. It's wonderful to see a village surround Miss Evelyn in her time of need. And then, when Miss Evelyn was able, she was that village for others, encouraging and helping others. And I tell you, I might be the only one to find this humorous. Married to a pastor, we're notorious for ignoring clocks. And then marrying a train engineer who pays very close attention to clocks. But just how wonderful how she was surrounded with the village, able to be that village for others, to love others, to encourage others. Again, as we heard about, and I even heard about how if you did anything in the newspaper, anyone in her village was in the newspaper, it would be clipped out and memorialized on the refrigerator so that she could enjoy and show off her village. That even if the grandkids needed a ghost, when they were trying to bust those ghosts, she would throw a sheet on because it was her village. And anything, when you need help, the village is there. When the village needs help, you were there. It's a wonderful, wonderful testimony. I remember my first visit with Miss Evelyn as the new pastor at Sunnyside. I knocked on her door and she opened it, and I immediately began to apologize because she was so dressed up and her hair was so fixed. I knew she was going somewhere, and I'm like, I didn't mean to interrupt whatever plans that she had, but she didn't have any plans. That was just what you do. When you get up, you get ready. But I remember it didn't take long as I was introducing myself that she began to introduce me to all of you all because the pictures came out real quick, and I saw pictures of you across many years with many different haircuts. But it was very clear how much she loved her village, loved her friends, and loved her family. And that cannot be more clearly displayed than how her family is a part of their village, and how much you care for the people around you, and how you minister to the people around you. I know Miss Pam, Mr. Wayne, you've been to my kids' ball game, sent me a picture just recently of my daughter playing ball. You text me on holidays. Most folks at Sunnyside wait to see me at church to wish me a Merry Christmas. I look forward to that text every year. I remember when Max was pulling on my leg to go through a potluck line, and pastors have a hard time getting through the potluck line. We got other stuff going on. And I said, you're going to have to wait for me. He just grabbed the next leg he saw, which happened to be Mr. Wayne. And he said, well, you take me through the potluck line. And he did, because it takes a village. I Amanda and Hank. So there they I got to be a part of your wedding, one of the biggest days of your life. And that is an invitation that pastors are grateful for, to be a part of those big moments, to be thought of. I still can't believe anybody want me to be a part of their wedding. It blows a pastor's mind that I get to be a part of such a sacred moment in somebody else's life. And I look forward on Facebook when I'm reminded of your anniversary and that special day. Ethan. You don't know how much time I've spent at Avery's door, listening to you and her on the phone, watching a movie together. So be careful what you say. You are a part of her village, and that is special to me. And Renee, you helped my dyslexic daughter read that. That's a debt I can never repay. And Corey, my oldest daughter has a nickname for you and talks music with you. She barely grunts at me when she's walking in and out of the room. I know you don't like that nickname, but I hope you realize how huge it is for my introverted daughter. I mean, you're one of the very few that she talks to. And I'm grateful. It's huge to her, and it's very huge to me. And Miss Donna and Miss Pam, y'all know it's hard to be a pastor's kids. You get a bunch of extra sermons. Y'all just think I'll preach a lot of y'all. They've absolutely heard it this week. You better love your mama. What Miss Donna and Miss Pam love theirs. Pastors are always grateful to see children going through. It's been a hard several years. And what a testimony of love that you two have shown all of us by how you have loved your mother. Proverbs 27:17 tells us that iron sharpens iron, just as one person does another. You are all villagers in other people's village because of the testimony lived in front of you by Miss Evelyn. You all allow others to be a part of your village because of the testimony lived in front of you by Miss Evelyn. Her influence is evident all around this place. And I cannot think of a better eulogy than that. And also, no family. You got a village right now. All you have to do is ask. Just pray. Oh Lord, I am just thankful for this family. I'm thankful for Miss Evelyn, her influence so evident on this family. I'm thankful for her love of you. I am thankful for the hope that we have in Jesus Christ that Miss Evelyn is enjoying right now, worshiping you, experiencing the joy of your presence. I'm so thankful for the hope that we have in Jesus Christ. And Lord, again, I just pray that you will bless this family. I'm thankful that they are a part of my village and that I get to be a part of theirs. And I just pray your grace and mercy in Christ's name. Amen.
comes to me with new assurance. More and more I understand his words of love, but I'll never know just why he came to save me, till someday I see his blessed face above. No one ever cared for me like Jesus. There's no other friend as kind as he. No one else could take the sin and darkness from me. Oh, how much he cares for me.
That was our cousin Ken. Donna, hang on. Thank you. For asking me to speak, it's an honor. It may not come as a surprise to many of you, but Evelyn was my favorite aunt. Always. She was a special lady. She also knew that she was my favorite aunt. You know why? Because I told her so several times over the years. And we have many memories together. Just so many memories together. This whole family. Everybody in here has memories with Evelyn. Some of us more than others. Some of us go further back. Let's see, I go back 79 years worth. Anyway, a little history and a couple of stories. As Donna told us, Evelyn was one of 8 children, and she was the baby of the family, of 4 boys and 4 girls. As such, she got pampered a lot. Still did after she got married. Still did when she got married the second time. Sadly, when Evelyn was just about 18 months old, her mother, Minnie, passed away. Just a baby. At that time, my mother, Eva, her sister, was a teenager. And as such, took the role of mother to the younger siblings, including little toddler Evelyn. Because of that strong bond between Mother and Evelyn, she always spent a lot of time at our house. Our house was like her second home. In fact, Evelyn was more like a bigger sister to me. And by the way, Donna, I went to a lot of trouble when I wrote my notes not to include a date that would give away your age. And you got up here and spilled the ink. Evelyn grew up in Decoy, of course, and eventually met a handsome, charming young man named Ray Ramsey. He immediately fell in love with the beautiful Evelyn. Ray went home and told his mother, I'm going to marry Evelyn Westmore. But there was one small problem. Evelyn was already engaged to another man. Well, if you knew Ray, you knew he was the type of person that wouldn't give up pretty easily. And he didn't. He eventually did marry his sweetheart, and after a couple of years, Ray and Evelyn moved to Florence, South Carolina, where Ray became the pastor of a Free Will Baptist church. Ray and Evelyn and daughter Donna settled into a church-centered life. And Evelyn became known for her southern hospitality and her gentle spirit. And their family eventually was complete when a few years later little Pam came along. Here it comes, Pam. You little leg hugger. Inside joke. In 1958, now I'm telling how old I am. In 1958, I turned 14, and I asked my mother and dad if I could go spend a week or so in the summer with Uncle Ray and Aunt Evelyn and Donna and Pam. That began the first of 3 consecutive years I spent some time each summer in Florence. Now I ask you, how many teenage boys do you know who would ask to spend a week or two a long way from home with an aunt and an uncle and 2 girl cousins? Well, I did. And I loved every minute of it. Evelyn was always so sweet to me and treated me like one of her own. She took good care of all of us. She cooked the food that we all liked, and she cooked food that I liked. And I felt just as loved when I was there as when I was at home. But Evelyn liked to tease too. Yeah, she was a prankster, let's face it. One day when I was visiting, I asked her what we were having for supper that night. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that she knew that I didn't like. So I spent the rest of the day worrying about supper time. But when supper came, Evelyn had fixed some food that I liked. And she grinned at me, and I grinned back at her. I love that woman. We always had such fun. We played board games together. I can still beat you at Carol. We played ball outside. Uncle Ray took us to play miniature golf a lot of times, actually. I remember that we watched TV a lot. We had 3 channels to choose from, all in beautiful black and white. Now, some of you are laughing, and some of you know that you remember when you could only get 2 or 3 channels and they were black and white. And of course, we always attended church together to hear Uncle Ray preach. Because Florence was only about an hour from the Myrtle Beach area, we always spent several days there. Some members of Uncle Ray's church had beach houses, and they always insisted he and Evelyn would use them. Now, Evelyn was less than 15 years older than I was. That's important. Remember that. Remember, I told you growing up she was like a big sister to me, and I've told you that we like to tease each other. Well, here's a story. That first year in 1958, when we were at the beach, I was 14 and Evelyn was only 29. All day we had been playing in the sand and jumping waves and having a great time. But finally Evelyn said it was time to pack up and go home. So I started and got ahead about 15 yards while she was packing up the stuff. And I turned around and I shouted, "Mother, Mother, it's time to go. Come on, Mother." That got a lot of attention from the folks on the beach who turned around to look. What they saw was a very young Evelyn chasing a teenager down the beach. I just remember a lot of people laughing. They obviously knew she was too young to have been my mother. Eventually she forgave me, but she never ever let me forget about it. Those were some special times, those 3 summers that I was there as a teenage boy. I was fortunate enough to have not one family, but 2 families. Tragically, in 1963, Uncle Ray died. Our hearts were just broken. And as Donna has mentioned, Evelyn became a young widow with 2 young girls. She returned to her roots in Toccoa, to Eva, my mother, who had always been like a mother to her brothers and sisters who still live there, and to the town where she grew up. She was so brave and strong, dedicated to her girls and making sure they had everything they needed. We spent Christmases and Thanksgivings together a lot. We were a large, loving family, and being with family was always important to Evelyn. Most times our family would gather at Mother and Daddy's house to celebrate. Our house was always filled with aunts and uncles and cousins and friends. A lot of laughter, a lot of chatter. And as Donna mentioned, the Westmoreland ladies always loved to chatter. And food, tables filled with good food. One special Christmas stands out. Joanne and I happened to be at Mother's that afternoon on Christmas. Evelyn came in the back door with a special Christmas gift for Donna and Pam. She was carrying a large cardboard box with holes punched in the sides and a big red ribbon on top. She took the box in the dining room and put it on the table and told my mother to take a look inside. She did and found a precious Pekingese puppy. What a special gift for the girls. I don't know when she actually gave the puppy to the girls, but I do know that Brandy, the dog was named Brandy, became an immediate member of the Rumsey family. Over the years that followed, we shared many meals together. We watched hours of TV, color TV, and lots of birthdays we celebrated, marriages. Donna and Jimmy Brinson's in 1969, Evelyn and Tut Thompson in 1970, and Pam and Wayne Phillips in 1973. Donna told me a special story about her mother when they were shopping for shoes to match Evelyn's dress for Donna's wedding. They had gone to Atlanta shopping. Evelyn always had exquisite taste in fashion, and she wanted the perfect shoes to match her dress. They had taken the fabric belt from the dress to help in the matching process. Unfortunately, while they were shopping, the belt got lost. Evelyn and Donna immediately began to pray and retraced their steps and found the belt. All was well. After Evelyn married Tut and moved to Gwinnett County, she continued to hold all of her family close. A family now that included her new husband, his son David, in addition to the Westmoreland and Rumsey clans. She kept up her volunteer work and her work in the local garden club. Evelyn and Tut shared a love of fresh flowers and growing things. He even had a greenhouse in the backyard. Tut and Evelyn also shared a love for their grandchildren, Christopher, Kimberly, Corey, and Amanda. Following Tut's death in 1998, Evelyn again returned to her roots in Toccoa. She bought a lovely duplex and began to rebuild her life. Almost immediately, she began her volunteer work again at Stevens County Hospital. She attended church, shared time with her new neighbors and her family, and watching her grandchildren, and then later her great-grandchildren grow up. Evelyn was a true Southern lady, always perfectly groomed and well-dressed. She was kind, considerate, loving, compassionate. She enjoyed decorating her home for many holidays, especially Christmas. I remember visiting her in Toccoa and admiring the beautiful Christmas village on her mantle. She also enjoyed her Christmas tree. She could tell you when and who gave her every ornament. Speaking of ornaments, one year she found a special surprise Mickey Mouse tucked in the back branches of her Christmas tree. Pam told me that for years, Evelyn and Wayne had swapped the little Mickey Mouse back and forth. In fact, one year, Wayne had given their Mickey Mouse to a co-worker who was going to Hawaii on vacation, and had that co-worker mail it back to Evelyn. So many wonderful memories. But most importantly, Evelyn was a woman of deep faith who knew the importance of a personal relationship with Jesus. My Aunt Evelyn was a woman of prayer. She loved her Lord, she loved her family, and she loved her friends. One of her favorite scriptures was Psalm 23. I'm sure you all know the words, and you're welcome to join me as I read it. And this is from the New King James Version. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
At this time, we're going to stand and sing Amazing Grace.
I appreciate the fact that we've been a part of a celebration here, not a typical funeral service. This lady who loved the Lord, loved her family, loved all of us. She's just simply absent from the body and present with the Lord. We can say amen to that. I want you to do one thing for me. Before we sing Amazing Grace, everybody knows it. I want you to turn to the person next to you and say, I just can't wait to hear you sing.
thankful for family, for church family, for friends, for loved ones to have, to encourage, to strengthen us in times such as this. And again, Lord, we just lift up this family, these loved ones in this village, and just pray your strength and mercy be upon them.